हेलो एवरीवन, मेरा नाम है कोमल गुप्ता और आज मेरे साथ है एक फिनोमिनल कम्युनिकेशन स्पेशलिस्ट जो ढेर सारी मल्टीपल हैट्स पहनती है विद ग्रेस एंड एक्सपर्टीज. She is an extraordinary mother of two, a life coach who empowers individuals to unlock their full potential, the director of the Summer News channel, and a mentor to many learning enthusiasts. Prepare to be charmed by her knowledge and passion as she takes over the airwaves, making every second of this podcast memorable.
Hi Komal, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Great.
So let's start.
Oh yes, why not?
So my first question for you is, how did you get into communication?
Okay, so the answer to this is I never got into communication. I think I was born to be a communicator. So, in my school, Komal, I always give this example that I would participate in anything and everything. Any opportunity that would come my way, be it debate, declamation, dramatics, or something that I just cannot attempt till date, that is painting. Even that opportunity I would never leave. So I always tell students, any opportunity that comes your way, grab it. At least you will get experience, if not anything else. So, but the most important thing was I never emphasized on winning. For me, it was participation and I enjoyed every experience. And being on stage, like I always tell my son, and in fact my daughter also, that, you should never be afraid of going on stage. मेरे को तो जब stage पे जाने की opportunity मिलती थी, मैं तो छलांगे मारती थी. Yes.
Another thing, what made you start your news channel? Like, did you have any inspiration? Were you thinking of this since a long time? What was it?
See, the Summer News happened by chance to us. Samarji, Ashdeep Samar, he's the one who started the channel, met my husband once for some legal, my husband is a lawyer, so he met him once to discuss some legal things related to the channel. And I had been a news presenter before, so it just clicked and there was no looking back.
Wow. And in life, what drives you? Like, do you have someone who helps you through everything? Like, what's the one source of
Driving force?
Yeah.
Okay, at the moment in my life, I think the biggest driving force for me is my husband. And the way we support each other, the way we understand each other, makes our relationship strong, makes our family happier. And he's my biggest critic. And when I do not agree with him, then I become a wife also. But more or less, of course, he's the wind beneath my wings.
Wow. That's amazing. To have that support, it's just so important.
It's very
in
important.
life.
See, basically, this kind of support comes with mutual understanding. You have to understand each other. Nowadays, what is happening, especially internet, is bombarded with these quotes wherein people are saying, "Hey, listen, you have to get married to someone who loves you the way you are." I do not think that is the right statement. You have to change for the people that you love. It's very important. With change comes understanding. With change comes acceptance, and with change comes camaraderie and companionship.
And you're doing so much. You're a life coach, you're a mentor, you're a mom, you're a director. Do you have any complications juggling all of this at once?
Okay, Komal, that's a very good question that you've asked me, and I would want to reach out to more people. In fact, I would want everyone to listen to what I'm going to say right now. What is driving us crazy is one word, especially for a woman. See, as far as managing your house or work is concerned, that goes without saying. You have to manage it. However, when it comes to certain things in life, there is one word that is killing all of us, that is multitasking. Stop multitasking. The secret is one thing at a time. So when you have to think about your professional life, just focus on that and don't work upon multiple things that, acha, aaj main ye bhi kar lu, aaj main ye bhi kar lu, aaj main ye bhi kar lu. You will end up being totally chaotic and you will not get any results. So multitasking is when there is no other way out, when you have to manage house and everything, then you should do multitasking. Otherwise, it's very important to be streamlined, to have your priorities, that abhi mujhe yahi karna hai, to mujhe is pe total focus karna hai. When you lose focus, you lose everything.
Since you've given such a big advice, I have another question based on advice. So, people who are not as successful as they want to be and are failing at whether it be professional life, studies, or anything, do you have some advice for them? How to take it easier?
Okay, so I have one word for them, and this word is in fact, I say that my life is based upon two words. Whatever I have achieved today is because that I had these two words drilled into my system. When I was a child or a teenager or a youngster, they didn't even exist in my dictionary. But I knew, now I realize that I was doing these two. So the second I will not pick up right now, but the first one is something which is very relevant to the question that you asked. It is called perseverance. And how will I define perseverance? Simply means never, 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 never give up. And if in life the only option is to give up, just don't give up. Try.
And you've been on so many stages, so many performances, and you've helped so many people overcome their fear of going on stage and performing. Two things. What is your greatest experience on stage, and what is your worst experience on stage?
Okay, incidentally, the greatest and the worst are the same. So I remember I was in Jaipur and I was doing a show for a news channel. Not a news channel, I think a newspaper, print media. I had an audience of 20,000 right in front of me. So Jaipur crowd is masses, not classes. So I mean, anyone and everyone. It was an open show, so anyone could come. And with 20,000, the artist who had to come and perform did not turn up. Eventually, she did, but she was late by 2 hours. So imagine managing a crowd of 20,000. Those were pelting stones or bottles or whatever that came in their hand. They were actually throwing that on stage at all of us. So I went on stage and for good half an hour to 45 minutes with breaks. So till about 1.5 hours, I managed the stage so well. I was really scared that ab kuch aake, lagega mujhe, ab kuch lagega, ab yahan se khoon nikal jayega. But I think the way I handled stage, they were all with me. But after about 1.5 hours, they realized she's just making a fool out of us. And then they started, behaving. They stopped listening to me. And that was the time I said, no, I'm not going on stage now. I have managed enough. But those 45 minutes total of my performance, 1.5 hours total, taught me the most in my life. So now I know whenever I'm on stage, I can handle classes to masses perfectly.
Wow. So all of this, the fear, like when the audience is not listening, how do you deal with that? Like the stress or like whatever, like on the point?
See, when the audience do not listen to you, the problem is not with the audience, the problem is with the speaker. The audience is sitting there to listen to you. You have to be like a Pied Piper. And if you cannot be one, your audience will never like to listen to you. They'll be yawning or they will be just looking at their watches and just thinking, ye Bhagwan kab jayega?
So if this happens while someone is on stage, so when they notice that this is happening, should they like change the mood or have like an icebreaker session to include the audience? Like,
well, if you do not do that, I think you're stupid. It's very important. There is a very basic rule. Don't bore the audience. So you can't do that. It is wrong.
Yeah.
See, if your topic is something which talks about physics, then how much humor can you bring into physics? Of course, you will, add few, probably bring in examples. But at the end of the day, the presentation would be about physics, right? So you can add whatever punches you can. But if the topic is something that is total interaction, and if in that interaction you are just doing a monologue, I think you do not deserve to be on stage.
And as the director of a news channel, how do you ensure that your strategies and like whatever work's happening align with your vision, like what you've imagined?
See, I think it's the delegation, how you delegate work. For every business, if you delegate your work, that's, I think, the key to success, because you cannot be sitting on people's head every time. you have to delegate in a way that responsibilities are handed over and it is carried out smoothly by everyone. Of course, कई बार डंडा होता है, but I think majority of the times it is not required because everything is streamlined and formulated accordingly.
That's really good advice. Yeah. And okay, this is the last question. And your daughter told me this. You take classes for students. Do you feel your students are harder to manage than your own kids? Or like, what do you think? Who's naughtier?
Okay, I'll tell you something. Since my daughter has asked you to, ask this question, the bottom line is to have fun. Both my husband and I, we are friends to our children. And when we say not like we become friends, acha, now we will become your friends, now we are your parents. So I always tell parents that you have to balance between being strict and being silly. When you have to be strict, you have to be like really totally strict with your children. There has to be no tolerance for certain things, but that should be limited. Most of the time, your children should not feel कि हम घर में ना principal के साथ रह रहे हैं. This is what happens. So you have to be, both my husband and I, we do pillow fights. Any opportunity that we get wherein we have time, probably a day or two, we go out for a vacation, we go for a little holiday or probably a longer holiday. So we do a lot of family time together. And when we do that family time, we are like 4 kids together. And I think that's a similar thing I do with my students also when I'm with them. The underlying concept of all the batches, all the classes that I do, fun ko seriously lo. So yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you. That's all for today. And keep in mind, be fun wherever you are.